right, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the Newcastle City Council regular session for Tuesday, February 21. It is 7:01 p.m. City Council just returned from executive session, during which the council met for approximately 20 minutes, and we discussed a matter pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I relating to potential litigation and legal risk. No final actions were taken during the executive session. With that, will you please rise and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk White, will you please call the roll?
Deputy Mayor Sherlock is obviously not with us. Councilmember Griffin?
Here.
Councilmember Villasenor?
Here.
Councilmember do we have Councilmember Lacote here?
She is she? Do we have Councilmember Lacote? Oh,
She
is she?
should be on this.
That's right. I remember. We got that right.
Are we muted? We might still be muted. Okay. Bear with me for just a moment, Council.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear that, Pratima? How about now? Can you hear that now? Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So it looks like we have Councilmember Lacote present. Councilmember Charbonneau. Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Mayor Newing.
Here. All right,
That
may I
is
have a
6
motion?
present.
Thank you. May I have a motion to excuse Deputy Mayor Sherlock? Councilmember Charbonneau.
I move to excuse Deputy Mayor Sherlock from this meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Charbonneau, seconded by Councilmembers Villasenor and Clark to excuse Deputy Mayor Sherlock from the meeting. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. And like City Clerk mentioned, Councilmember Lacote is joining us from the virtual land tonight, so welcome to her. Okay, and Councilmember Lacote, we will depend heavily on your hand just so we can bring you on when you're ready to comment. So I'll be watching, and we're watching out for you. Okay, agenda approval. Any objection to approval of tonight's agenda as presented? Seeing none, agenda is approved as presented. Public comment. Do we have any members of the public virtually and also in the audience? We'll go audience first. Anyone sign up? City Clerk White? Thank you. Virtual. No public comment tonight. I'll close the public comment. We have no presentations. Council comment. Councilmember Clark, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Mayor Newing. A couple quick things. On Friday, I had the incredible honor to go to the birthday party for 100-year-old World War II veteran at the Museum of Flight. And I swear the guy's in better shape than all of us in this room, and it was pretty amazing. And a couple weeks before that, I was at an honor service for a 96-year-old veteran who also looked in pretty good shape. So my point is, you know, these veterans from World War II are fast disappearing, right? You're not going to find them in less than 100 now. And if you get a chance to meet or talk to them, it's an amazing experience. They have so much to say, and not a lot of them are even willing to talk. But this particular gentleman, his name is Richard Nelms, and he gives regular lectures at the Museum of Flight. So programs like that, I encourage you to, you know, take advantage of them while you still can. So pretty cool stuff. At the end of the last council meeting, there was a public comment about Carol Simpson mentioned she ran into a homeless veteran. So I the next day, I believe, I sent her some information at how she could help that veteran, and I forwarded it to the city manager, but by the next meeting, and I didn't have it for today, but I plan to have a little cheat sheet to pass to all the council members and the staff so that they could, if this situation arises, you know how to get a veteran the proper resources. So, so Carol should have that. Hopefully that turned out well for her encounter. The retreat, we had a retreat a week and a half ago, and I'm very pleased at the results. I think this council did a lot to communicate with each other. I think that'll help us going forward. I'm very pleased with that. And I especially liked how every council member said they would vote exactly like I wanted them to at the end, so that was cool. And then lastly, our greatest president is a birthday tomorrow, George Washington, so happy birthday, George. Thank you.
I think I don't remember the part about voting with you all the time. Councilmember Charbonneau, any humor for us tonight with Councilmember Clark over there?
Not of that caliber, no. Two things. One, I would echo the sentiment. I think I really enjoyed the retreat we were able to have. It was great to communicate with folks, both staff, and learn more about them, and other council members, and learn more about them, and have a talk about common goals and what we'd like to see moving forward. I think that was really great and productive. And then the other item I wanted to bring, and I'm doing this at the advice of City Manager Pingle from a one-on-one discussion, is that I would like to bring up that in April, the King County Council has approved to bring to a vote what is called a crisis care center levy. So it's a levy that is being put on the ballot to be voted on in April that is for folks that are experiencing a mental health crisis to have somewhere to go. Currently, there's one single place with 46 beds for an entire county of 2.3 million people where they can go to receive critical mental health care. The average wait time for someone that's experiencing that critical mental health care as of last year was 44 days, which is quite absurd and not what we want to see. So I would like to sort of gauge the temperature on folks about this, and please help me out, City Manager, if there's other procedure parts that you would like to address. But I would love to bring up before the vote in April discussion of either a resolution to pass in support of this levy, or a council putting out a statement in support of this levy. This is really a critical need that's not being met in our region. That's my own opinion, I should distinguish, and I would love to have the conversation about ways to formally come out to support that levy.
Yeah, process-wise, I mean, it would be something that we could certainly bring something back to the next meeting as a discussion item, or we can, if council was all on board or all a definite no or something like that, we can put it to bed. But that would basically be the process. If council wants to comment on it, great. Otherwise, we can bring it forward to the next meeting or something.
Yeah, that is.
Councilmember Lakota, what do you have for us?
Can you hear me?
Hold on one second, you're echoing, so bear with us. Go ahead and try again.
You can go ahead now, please.
Yeah? Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. So hopefully next time we can solve this audiovisual issue and we can see more citizens participate. I just wanted to say that, few months back we had talked about that we do not have enough programs for seniors in Newcastle. And I personally took that upon myself, and this is the second program that I have started. This will be my second class. We did one last month, which was very, very successful. So we've started a gentle yoga and meditation for seniors, and for basically we've opened it to all ages, but we saw a lot of seniors who came last month. And our next class is Feb 25th, Saturday at 10:30 a.m. in the Newcastle Library. So we had around 12-15 seniors attend last month, and we're hoping the number will only increase as the months go by. So just wanted to say that yes, we will continue to increase and expand more programs for our seniors of Newcastle. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Villasenor.
Thank you. I would like to reiterate my my gratitude toward our retreat. I think we did do a lot of really great work, so thank you to everybody for that. My comment tonight is that really my heart goes out to the people of East Palestine, Ohio. As a person who grew up in a town of similar size, of about 5,000 people, and of course being a council member in a small city like this, I can't imagine what they're feeling in the face of a significant ecological disaster there. So I just want to wish them all the best. Know that that I'm thinking of them, and I hope the resources are made available to them so they can overcome their situation.
Thank you. Councilmember Griffin.
No comment.
All right, thank you. Council committees.
Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Forgive me for interrupting. I just want to make sure because I don't know that all council members were aware or had a chance to hear, but we are currently streaming this meeting live to YouTube, and everything's being recorded. So thanks to Director Bronze for his help.
Thank you, and I skipped over my comments. So I do have a couple of things. First of all, happy Fat Tuesday. I have to concur with the comments about our retreat. It was it was probably the best retreat and the most productive I have had in 8 years. So thank you everybody for giving up your Friday, and I know we went pretty late in that day. I know I was exhausted when I went home, so got a decent night's sleep that night. And I also want to thank a longtime volunteer here in Newcastle, Patty Majors. She has served as the chair of the Community Activities Commission for, I believe it's been 2 years. And Patty actually filled the vacancy I created in 2016 when I got elected to city council. So she has served me well, definitely, and I can't say I have been more proud of anyone to fill a seat that I vacated on a commission. Patty has done a great amount of work. She's been very rock solid on that commission, and she will be missed. But Patty resigned last week, and her resignation goes into effect April 1. So is the application open, Paul? Has that been opened yet?
It has not been announced yet. No, it has not been published yet,
Okay,
but it will be soon.
okay, thank you. So we will be accepting applications for that vacancy very soon. You can watch our website. All right, moving on. Council committees, Finance Committee.
Thank you. Finance Committee did meet. We approved the contract for the interim finance director and the search for a permanent hire.
Excellent. Regional committees, any regional committees? Third week of the month is always quiet. Gotta love that. Okay, moving on to, we do have a commission chair report from the CAC in our packet, but for now I will turn it over to City Manager Pingle with his City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. A few things I just wanted to call attention to in the City Manager report. Probably first and foremost, the waste management schedule change that's been posted to all the places that we post it. Certainly let us know if you hear of any comments or concerns or questions that we can get answers to from waste management, and we'll do our best to get answers as quickly as we can. And then also just as far as our staffing update, our interim finance director, Brenda Rolfe, she's actually here. If she'll stand up and let us know who you are. Brenda comes to us most recently from Normandy Park, but has a long background in local government finance, and certainly would welcome her if there's anything you want to say or anything.
Thank you.
Put me on the spot here. So, good evening, I'm Brenda Rolfe, and I've been in local government since the age of 21. And I've worked Kent and Federal Way and Normandy Park twice, and I worked for the city of SeaTac and a tourism authority. That was interesting. And so when I first was younger, I went to school at night for 9 years to get my degrees. I loved learning and continuous improvement and all those wonderful things. So if you need anything, just let me know, but go through the city manager though, okay? And that should, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, we're glad to have you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Brenda. Along with that, we do have our finance director position posted, and our first review date is March 13th for that. At the last meeting, we heard about the RE+ program, and King County Solid Waste Division has requested that the council consider assigning their pledge. And so I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention and get any feedback from you as far as a desire to do that or not. We kind of heard, we had the study session about the program, and then we had a kind of a public comment in opposition, and so just wanted to bring that to the council's attention. We can certainly do nothing, but wanted to get any feedback from the council.
Did we ever get that pledge?
It was in the update Friday.
That was the one I haven't done yet. My apologies. Okay. All right, any questions? Councilmember Charbonneau?
Thank you. Yeah, so I talked with City Manager Pingle a bit about this as well too. I don't think the pledge that was put forward was a sort of a goal to recycle more and more towards sustainability, and I think that was a similar goal of the folks that were commenting. I think they just wanted to see things go even further, potentially in that right, and even push for even more broader goals. So I think the pledge in and of itself is pretty straightforward. I think it's simple, and I think it's a fair ask, and I'd personally be okay with signing onto it as a city. I'd be happy to discuss it with other council members in here if they have any cons, but I didn't really see many cons from it. It's more of a supporting the work they're doing in the spirit to move more towards the recycling and sustainability. I think that's a good goal.
Councilmember Clark?
I agree with what Councilmember Charbonneau said. I more tend to agree with the comments that Philip Schmidt-Pathman brought out, but like he said, it's all the same goal, right? So it's pretty generic pledge, so I don't see a problem signing it.
Anyone else?
Any opposition to putting a resolution on the next meeting?
No
For the
opposition
pledge.
here. You can
Okay.
take a look at it, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We've been talking about a potential May 2nd town hall, and wanted to see if we could get closer to locking down a location for that. We reached out to the golf course, which is where we usually hold it, and it's open May 2nd. We also reached out to Risden Middle School. I think from staff's perspectives, there's pros and cons to either, but I just wanted to get any feedback from council as far as preference. Certainly Risden Middle School requires a little more of staff as far as preparation and setup and all of those things, where the golf course is more of a, you rent it for specific things. And so just wanted to get any feedback and see if we can get closer to locking down a place to do that.
Councilmember Lakota? Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yep.
It's not echoing. Scott, I just wanted to understand the cost difference between both the locations.
So I don't have specific cost for Risden, but it would certainly be.
Can you hear me?
Oh, do you need to switch them? Sorry, switching back the audio. Yes, I heard you. So I don't have a specific cost for Risden. Certainly it's the much cheaper option. We would plan on it being a little less formal as far as food and whatnot. So certainly Risden Middle School offers much less expensive option. The golf course comes with fairly specific costs. There's the rental, and then there's a certain, you're in it for a certain amount of food. And so certainly the golf course is what we've traditionally done. And that's a little easier on staff, but Risden would certainly be the less expensive option.
Any other comments? Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you. Yeah, I would.
So I just wanted to just make a comment on that, given that during the town hall, we're going to talk about imposing more taxes and utility taxes and all of those things. And, and if we choose an expensive place, I don't think so it would reflect that we are trying to be efficient with our, with citizens' dollars. That what would reflect, just because we have done it in the past, doesn't necessarily mean that we continue to spend, higher amount, despite the big dent in our budget.
Councilmember Charbonneau.
Thank you. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think I would agree. So personally, my vote would be for Risden Middle School. I think for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's nicer to have somewhere that's cheaper. I should qualify that dependent on, of course, for staff. I know City Manager Pingle said there are pros and cons to each. I don't know if there's more pros and cons to elucidate. If so, please let me know, or please feel free to share that after council's done speaking. You have my permission to elucidate that. But I think the cheaper cost is a great thing, but I also think it's more accessible transportation-wise, quite frankly, than driving all the way up to the golf course. I know we have some residents live over there, but I think it's Risden's easier to access. I think it's easier to potentially access at night when we're having these meetings, and I think it would be, I think Risden's I do think Risden is a great place. It's a very, one of the nicest middle school in the school district. It was built not too long ago. It's a newer part of our community. I would love to elevate that part of our community by holding an event there, and I think it would be good to experiment with if it is a cheaper alternative. If we want to have more of these sort of community engagements, let's have another. I know we did a sort of a city manager screening event there. Let's continue to have events there and see if it makes sense. That would be my preference.
Just to speak to that a little bit, so I think the challenges at Risden Middle School are simply a matter of building a better relationship with them, certainly from my perspective, but maybe from staff in general. Just because it is new, at least for my part, I don't have a great direct relationship with Risden Middle School, where I've certainly met with both school districts and things like that, but that's more on a district level. And so certainly I think, if we make it a more regular thing, it becomes easier. They know what we're expecting when we have a meeting there, and that gets easier as we move forward, where unless there's been another meeting there, I think the city manager meet and greet was maybe the first time we tried to use Risden Middle School. So I think that gets easier as we try to normalize that.
No, we actually held an Energized East Side Forum there. One thing I think the group should keep in mind is if there's a Little League game on the baseball diamond at Risden, that will cut into parking. And as far as being accessible and convenient to what side of the city, the west side? I mean, that's only applicable to where you live. If you live on the east side, it's probably not as applicable. I would prefer the golf club because I think that this is our showcase event of the year. And I think that provides a better setting, and it will accommodate more people. If you're doing something like this in Risden, it would have to be out in the commons, and I mean, I've been out there for events, it's a little squishy. There's no stage in the commons, there's no mechanism to be used to, give us the visual to the audience. I think, have not been disappointed with the golf club or the service we get from the golf club. I think the cost is manageable. I think it's about 3 to 5K. And Risden does present additional challenges and work and preparation on the staff part. So I think that should all be considered and factored in. Councilmember Clark.
I would agree with Councilmember Charbonneau and Lakotia. I understand, and first thing that came to my mind was parking, obviously, but, yeah, they both said what I would have said about the venue and using the school and the economy part of it. I'm volunteering to help the staff if they need to set up, right? I would assume that means setting up tables and chairs or whatever. I'll come in early, stay late. I mean, if that's what it takes to, we're all team. So my inclination is Risden at this point.
Okay. Anything else on your, Councilmember Griffin?
What would our town hall consist of?
Well, I think that's in flux and something that we need to hash out a little bit, but what has been at least proposed for now is kind of walking through the city manager work plan with the community, just because it's pretty broad, it covers a lot of things, and it's something that the council was united on. And so at least as a centerpiece for it, that was kind of what the idea was. I know we talked a little bit about maybe expanding that a little bit based on the council retreat, but we haven't nailed any of that down.
What kind of input would you expect from the people?
I don't know.
Or you don't know?
Well, we're providing an opportunity for questions. We're providing an opportunity for questions and answer. So Q&A sessions. Yeah, pretty extensive. Okay. Is that it from your?
The only other thing I had was we put draft pandemic relief plan info for the business and nonprofit assistance grants in the update Friday. And I did get some feedback as far as what we're requiring as part of that grant, and would love to answer any other questions that the council has. The concern was over requiring financials or not requiring financials. Our approach that we took was to not require financials, simply from the standpoint of our size and our staffing level and our level of expertise in analyzing those things. The nice thing about the final rule for the state and local fiscal recovery funds was that it provided us the flexibility and to as far as that goes. And so that was our approach. Some of the priorities that the council talked about in adopting that plan was the need to get put a process in place or a program in place and get it out as quickly as we could to the community. If we are going to be more involved than what we're proposing, it'll certainly take longer. And if we had a partner agency, I can definitely see being more involved, but where that's not an option and we're trying to do it in-house, we're trying to make sure we can administer that and support that with the staffing level that we have. So I would love to take any other feedback or if there's comments otherwise.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Clark.
So I'm one of the people who gave you feedback, right? So the feedback that you received, are you going to incorporate that into the forms and then send out a new version? What are you planning to do? And then do you need us to vote on that, or what is the next step? It's not clear.
So so I think the last time we talked about this, that's what we were trying to clarify, right? Council tasked staff with putting this together and getting it out to the community. So I'm not anticipating a council vote unless the council wants that. And the last time we talked about this, the council indicated that that's not what was desired. We will implement the comments that you gave us and put it back out, and then we would plan on getting it out to the community.
Okay, moving on. Any objection to approval of tonight's unanimous consent agenda on the
Her hands up.
Councilmember Lacotia, sorry.
So I just wanted to mention, Scott, I did give a feedback also, and I mentioned that Working Washington grant had some requirements, which is a part of a due diligence so that the funds are not misused. And just because it's more work, I don't think so it's justifiable to say that, no, we will not do any due diligence because of bandwidth issues. And I also mentioned that, there is a way to help out. And I'm not coming up with new financial requirements. This is what the Working Washington Grant Round 5 had it. And I remember at one point, this was being discussed in the council where, the businesses were encouraged to apply for the Working Washington Grant. So if they can apply to that grant and fulfill those requirements, I don't see any reason why we cannot do the same. This is just following normal government protocol. And I think even for audit purposes and for fairness purposes, it's very important that, we follow the same suit that Washington Working Grants has. And even during the CARES Fund, some sort of revenue information was required. So, there is a way to help out. And I also mentioned, there are experts out there who would be willing to help in the business field, who would be willing to help and review these documents and help the staff out if there is a bandwidth issue. But just because there is a bandwidth issue doesn't mean that we don't do any due diligence. This is the citizens' dollars that we are talking about. It's their hard-earned money. And we will have to be answerable during the town hall because I kid you not, these things are going to come up. And just some time ago, we were talking about efficiency. So all kinds of efficient use of money is going to come up in the town hall. And we all better be prepared to answer those questions, especially when we are going to go and ask them for more taxes. So I would highly recommend that you consider that. I'm not asking for any new requirement. I'm just saying that just follow the Washington Working Grant. And there are many ways I can help out. Thank you.
No, I'm not expecting that, but I think clarification needs to be noted here that as far as I know, this council has no intention of bringing forward any topic of potential taxes during our town hall. So if that's the intent, it wasn't made clear to me. So I can, that's my interpretation. All right, moving on.
You're doing?
Councilmember Griffin.
Thank you. If we're talking about, we're concerned about the information that we're asking the people for is going to be public, we need to consider that this is public money that they're asking for, not money that we just come across. It's money that the public has told us in our last town hall meeting by a majority of the people there that they didn't want it done this way, but we're doing it anyway. So I think we ought to have some restrictions on how we handle the doling it out.
Moving on. Is there any objection to approval of tonight's unanimous consent agenda as presented? Seeing none, please show the consent agenda approved as presented. No public hearings tonight, no unfinished business. General Business Director Bronze, I will turn it over to you for adoption of ordinance 2023-652, adding a new chapter 14.30 NMC compost procurement policy. What do you have?
I have nothing for you, Council. Actually, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you.
It's not on consent because it's an ordinance, but it's a very
right.
straightforward matter of fact, so I figured I wouldn't waste your time with the
Okay,
presentation.
so questions, and then I will, we have to
Make the call.
comment on the ordinance, right?
Call the question, I'd say, if there's no questions.
Questions? Councilmember Lakoti, any questions? Take comment, I don't have to take comment, right? Okay, I always get confused. Okay, is there a motion out there? Motion, anyone? Councilmember Clark?
Can't find it, go ahead.
All right. I move to adopt ordinance 2023-652, establishing a compost procurement policy for the city of Newcastle as presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Villaseñor, seconded by Councilmember Clark, I believe that was, to adopt ordinance 2023-652, establishing a compost procurement policy for the city of Newcastle as presented. Councilmember Villaseñor, would you like to speak to your motion?
No comments.
Councilmember Clark, anything to add? All right, all in favor of the motion to adopt ordinance 2023-652, establishing a compost procurement policy for the city of Newcastle as presented, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. Additional public comment. Any public comment out there? Anything virtual?
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll close public comment. Planning calendar. City Manager Pingle, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as the March 7th meeting goes, just a reminder to council, that'll be my 6-month review. I'm excited to get through that. But also, as far as adding a couple of things to that meeting, I didn't have any opposition to bringing a resolution for the RE+ Pledge Black, so that'll be put on that meeting. Also, was their desire to have a discussion about the care centers levy. Just with the time frame, that vote is in April. If we wanted to do something about that, as far as Councilmember Charbonneau's request, we probably need to talk about it at the next meeting or two.
So just to comment on that, this council has primarily stayed out of that arena and not come out with a stand. Personally, I value my right to make my own decision and not have it questioned by the public. And I would really prefer this council continue the practice of not taking a position on a ballot measure. Councilmember Charbonneau?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I guess my point is I'd like to have a discussion about it and we can choose what action is taken there. It's something I've seen a lot of other cities do for different measures, whether it be a school levy, whether it be, a number of other things. I don't think a discussion is allowed to ask. I don't think it's a heavy agenda.
Yeah, so as far as for right now, the question would simply be, do we want to put it on the meeting? As far as pro and con of the levy itself, that would be something to talk about at the meeting. But the question for the council is whether they want to talk about it at all.
Councilmember Clark?
I agree with Mayor Newing. I mean, I understand Councilmember Charbonneau's passion for this. I commend that, but we exactly what the mayor said, you know, it's personal decisions. We are not going to be enforcing or gathering this levy, so it's up to the people to decide on their own how they would want to vote on this. So I don't think it's our place to take a position on how to tell them to spend their money.
And I mean, the impact is more focused on regional. It's not direct Newcastle impact. So I think that needs to be considered. Councilmember Lakota, anything to add? Okay, I wasn't quite sure if there was a little hand in the corner there. Anyone else? Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you, sir. All right, I see no other business, so we will adjourn at 7:42.